So did you see my text, Bobby?
I did. What are you up to?
I thought that would be fun. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure you have some good stories to tell, and I'm always willing to tell a story. But I thought it'd be fun for this episode of the Middle Class VO podcast to allow our listeners to get inside our head a little bit and know a little bit about our past and our history and that kind of thing. And what helped shape us.
Oh, but you're such a better storyteller than me.
Oh, no. We're going to pull some stories out of you, kid. And some of the things that happened to us in our past life that have helped shape where we are now, and some things that have helped, some things that have happened in our voiceover careers that have helped shape where we are now. How's that sound?
All right. Truth or dare?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Thank goodness I got my own studio now at home, and I'm not out in an office space somewhere.
Could you turn that down just a little bit?
But I was told that I could listen to the radio at a reasonable volume from 9 to 11.
How's that going, by the way?
Good.
Are you loving it? Are you loving in your PJs?
I wear my stretchy pants every day, and No, I'm loving it, actually. I don't get, the random solicitor knocking on the office door. I'm able to roll out of bed, brush the buckies, get my coffee, and go to work,
Nice.
And, yeah.
About time, huh?
Yeah, it's so much. Yeah, I do. I missed it, I guess. I just didn't realize that I missed it. But, there is something about going to an office place or going to a studio for work and stuff. And I've still got one voice talent that will come here to record. But that's all I've got anymore is just one voice talent that comes here to record. So.
And you don't have any animals at home, do you?
I do. I have a little Maltipoo.
Oh, my gosh, that's a barker.
Yeah, she's pretty
Can you hear
good. The worst thing is she wants to be up under my feet all day long. So, and so she lays on a pile of cables that I have next to my desk, and that's where she wants to be, right by my feet, laying on the cables. So,
is she there right now?
She's at the groomer right now, actually.
Oh, okay, I was going to bark for her and see if she'd bark back.
No, and I'm listening in my headphones, so no, she wouldn't even hear it. Not even with that good dog hearing.
Oh, boy.
If you need e-learning, we're just an email away. Corporate narration, tell us what to say. Explainer video, imaging radio, slinging local cars, reading IVR. No, we ain't no stars. This is the Middle Class VO Podcast. The Middle Class VO Podcast. The Middle Class VO Podcast.
Bobby's in Cincinnati, Kevin Kilpatrick here in Nashville. This is the Middle Class VO Podcast, and Bobby, I'm going to start with some questions for you. Okay?
Okay.
What?
You're going to go first.
Let's start. We're going to start with a biggie. What is to date your proudest achievement in voiceover?
Wow. Are you talking about in terms of a booking?
Could be anything.
Or just anything?
It could be the realization of, I can do this. I've made it. Or it could be a particular project. It could be a breakthrough in, your performance. What is it?
I'll have to tell you. Can I do a two-parter? My first is probably my biggest booking, which is the national voice of Overstock.com, because it just goes on and on and on.
Mm-hmm.
and I love it. And it's a national spot, and everybody knows Overstock. So as far as a booking, that has to be it. I mean, it just makes my year. But ahead of that was when I did a demo with a demo producer. They made a referral to one of the top agents in the country. And I was thinking, there's no way I'm going to be picked up by this agency. And they replied, yes, Bobbi is very good. I would consider bringing her on, but she sounds like blank. And I don't want to put any names out there. Who's a very top talent. And that just, I was beaming. I just felt so good. And I felt really like I was up there, I wasn't learning voiceover anymore. I've gotten to the point where I can book nationally, and agents will look at me and felt like I had really arrived.
That's great. That is great. And congrats on the Overstock gig. I know you've been proud of that for several years, and I'm certainly happy that it's continuing because it certainly helps keeping the lights on, keeping the family fed, and all that good stuff.
Exactly. Well, can I turn it around and ask you the same question now?
Yeah, you can. If you're not creative enough to come up with your own questions, sure.
Oh, snap! Seriously? Did you just diss me like that?
I can do that. I can do that because you're my work wife.
True. What is your proudest achievement to date, Kevin Kilpatrick?
In voiceover, it might be my National Geographic Hitler documentary that I did, just because of the story that I was able to help tell. About the American prisoners that were held in a Nazi war camp. The fact that it got nominated for a Sovis. I'm pretty proud of that. I'll do a two-part too. Another thing that I'm really proud of is there's an app that I narrated several years ago called the Bible app for kids. And it has been downloaded 20 million times.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not. 20 million times around the world. And
that's amazing.
Yeah. The only thing is, I wish I had a good agent at the time to negotiate that, like on a per download basis, because it was a one and done kind of a deal. And but
no kidding.
Yeah, but I get, even within the last few weeks, I've had somebody say, "Kevin, are you narrating some Bible stories for kids?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's me." So yeah, so that's another one I'm really proud of.
That's Scatworthy.
Those are both terrific achievements. And you hit a point there saying, you didn't really know any better. You didn't have an agent that got you work. And that's something that we can pass along to people who are just getting started, is those are the things you got to look at, because sometimes, you might grab a job for $250. And just like, what's her name? The voice of Siri. I mean, that's a classic story for her. She had no idea what she was getting into, and now look at it.
Yeah, it's crazy. And
is it Susan, I think is her name? Yeah.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. And the thing is when I did that Bible app for kids, is I got a decent rate, but it was a buyout rate. And it was just, it's, tell Bible stories on an app. And I'm like, okay, this is worth it, if you only knew how huge it was going to go, but lesson learned, like you say. I want to go back to
a lot
Bobbi's.
Of downloads, that'll.
Yeah. If I could have negotiated, just like, a penny per download even, would have been sweet. But Bobbi, I want to go back to your radio days. Bobbi is a radio personality, or was a radio personality for 30 years, or were you just 30 years in Cincinnati? Or 30 years total?
Of 36 years, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
And 30 of those were in Cincinnati, I guess.
I was wearing diapers, of course.
Of course. You got started when you were knee-high to a coyote. Bobbi, my first question is, have they erected a statue of Bobbi Maxwell in Cincinnati yet? No, I'm joking. But were you?
I have one of those blocks down in the pavement where, when you walk into Cincinnati, and you can put your name on a block. Does
really?
that count?
Is it still there?
Yeah, it's down by the stadium.
Now, see, that's what I'm talking about. That's pretty cool. So,
I mean, everybody else in town has one, but Mom in there.
Hey, but you're there. You're there. You could say you're one of only 3 people to have one. We'll just go with that.
Right.
So when you were a radio personality, did you ever have a overzealous fan? Did you ever have a fan that borderline stalked you or did stalk you?
Are you kidding me?
I'll take that as a yes.
How long is this podcast allowed to go?
Wow. Were you ever in fear at any time?
I had several males, and in particular one female who stalked me. And she's really the only one that scared me, because she pushed her way into the front door of the radio station and into the studio and just started ranting and raving about saying she was accused of killing somebody while she was in the hospital, and pulls her shoe off and said, "Do you see blood on this shoe?" And I'm sitting here in the studio in my chair at the board going, oh my gosh. What do you do? What's she going to do next? That one truly scared me. But she ended up going to prison.
Wow.
And she committed arson. And when she got out, she had a heart attack and she passed. And her sister, going through her belongings, reached out to me and said, you must have been really close with her. She had your picture in her room and she had letters written to you. And I'm just going,
what?
Oh, Lord. Yeah. Oh, she also got my home number when I was on maternity leave, which, I was full of emotion and hormones anyway at the time. And I had to change my number. But yeah, she was definitely the worst. And I told her sister, I said, I am so sorry for your loss, but I can't tell you what a burden this is off of me. Wow. Knowing that she won't do anything to me in the future.
Wow. That's crazy. I had a couple of my own when I was down in Miami. One was a female who would show up at various places where I was, and I didn't know who she was. She would call on the phone a lot and talk to me. And she would then say, "Hey, I saw you at such and such, car dealership. You look nice." And I'm like, "Where were you? I didn't even see you." And she goes, "Oh, I was there. I showed up. You were wearing this." And I'm like, "Wow, that's crazy." And then, another time, "Oh, I stopped by the radio station and I dropped off a magazine, the catalog where I'm modeling in. And you can look at it. I'm on page, 42 or whatever." And I went out to my...
Are you serious?
Yeah, and sure enough, the receptionist goes, "Yeah, a girl dropped this off for you." And I said, go to page 42. And I go, "Is this her?" She goes, "No, not even close. That's not even close to her." And
are you kidding me?
No, not at all.
Oh, wow,
and
that's
then,
scary. So she never showed her face. She just pretended to be somebody else.
Right, yeah. She
That'd be a
pretended
great
to be someone else.
catfish episode nowadays, wouldn't it?
Yeah. And then I had one other guy that was always calling me and always begging me to put him on the air. And he was a funny guy, and so I'd put him on the air now and then. And this was right around the time that the movie The Cable Guy was out. You remember that with Jim Carrey and Matthew Broderick? It was very much a Cable Guy situation.
I can be your best friend or your worst enemy.
He got to where, he would come see me at appearances and we'd laugh because he was funny, like I said. And then he would go around and tell people that he worked at the radio station and that he was part of the crew and all this stuff. And I had somebody come up and go, "Yeah, Gator." Remember, I was on the air as Gator down in Miami. Yeah. "Gator, I met your roommate the other day." And at the time, I had a roommate named Greg who worked with me. He was on the promotions team at the radio station where I worked, so he was my roommate, and we were friends. We golfed together, whatever. But Greg was the shyest guy. He worked in the promotions department, but he was totally behind the scenes kind of a guy. And he was very quiet and very shy and reserved and whatever. And they're like, "Yeah, I met your roommate," and they didn't say his name. "And he's wild. He's crazy. He's so funny." And I'm like, "What?
Oh,
no?"
It's not Greg.
And then they described him. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh." And then so at this point, I started just ignoring this guy. He got to where he was calling me, leaving me message after message after message.
"We're having ourselves quite a little game of phone tag here."
And it was kind of like, very much like the Cable Guy situation. But finally that thing fizzled out. He did not go nuts on anybody.
It just blows me away that people go that far to stalk somebody, and just how do they pick you and what's going through their mind? It's just very scary.
Oh my goodness.
Let's go, Bobbi, back to you. What is the biggest celebrity that you've ever rubbed elbows with? Or the coolest celebrity?
Gosh.
Or the best experience with a well-known celebrity?
Oh boy, let's see. My best interview ever was probably Huey Lewis in the studio on the air, and he was actually singing, and he's a funny guy. And it was comical. I mean, it lasted for like a half hour, and just my favorite interview of my entire radio career.
That's
Because he
awesome.
was so down to earth, and it was like I was just talking to you right there.
He seems like he'd be a cool cat.
He is. He was funny. And that's a shame now that he's lost his hearing after all that. But as far as the biggest star or person who I was in awe of was probably Elton John.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I was just too scared to move. It's like,
Was he in the
I
studio
wouldn't
with
do
you?
anything wrong. No, it was at a concert backstage.
That is really
Yeah.
cool.
How about you?
I've got two that I want to mention. Well, three. My third place finisher is Dawn Wells, Marianne from Gilligan's Island. She spent an entire hour with me on air, in studio.
Really?
Yeah. It
Did
was-
she have her outfit on?
No, no. She was promoting a show she was doing in Miami Beach at the time, and I'm pretty sure she smelled of weed first thing in the morning. But she was sweetest lady, sweetest. Of course, growing up, I had it all in for Marianne, I'll tell you. And so it was really
Did
cool to get
you?
to. Oh yeah, woo. And so it was really cool to get just gorgeous lady, sweetest pie, just the nicest lady. Another time that I had a guest in studio was Kenny Rogers, and he, the kindest man, funny, and he spent an hour with me and just shared so much. And even when the mics went off, he was talking with me, and he was asking about me and stuff, and just a nice man. The coolest / biggest celebrity I've ever hung out with, and I've probably literally spent about 30 minutes with this person in my career, Garth Brooks. Just the...
Oh, I'm so envious.
Oh,
That's so cool.
Bobby, the coolest guy. When he was coming up in the early 90s, I want to say it was 91 maybe, we were hosting a concert. I was at US 97 in Hot Springs, Arkansas, and it was Garth Brooks, Trisha Yearwood, and Chris Ledoux.
Really?
Chris Ledoux opened the show. No, Trisha Yearwood opened the show. Then it was Chris Ledoux, and then Garth. So...
Wait a minute. I thought Chris Ledoux was Garth.
No, you're thinking of Chris Gaines.
Okay.
No, Chris Ledoux
That
was
his
a...
pseudonym.
Chris Ledoux was a rodeo guy turned country singer, a Western singer, more. But no,
Okay.
Chris
All right.
Ledoux was big time among rodeo fans for his music. But Garth is that's one of Garth's biggest influences is Chris Ledoux. And so he toured with him. This was right when Garth was putting out Friends in Low Places, like right around that time. And this was before him and Trisha got together. So this is like early 90s. Like 90, 91, somewhere in there. So do a meet and greet with Garth Brooks backstage, the nicest guy. And this was when Hans and Franz were really popular. Remember from Saturday Night Live?
Yes.
So me and another DJ friend of mine got Garth to do the Hans and Franz poses, and he was all about it. He was like, yeah, let's have some fun. And they got some good pictures. So...
Oh, how fun.
Yeah, and so the concert has started. Trisha's already done her set. Chris Ledoux is just coming off, and we're hanging out with Trisha Yearwood backstage. And then, ladies and gentlemen, Garth Brooks. And Trisha goes, there goes Elvis. And you could see the admiration, or you could sense that admiration, because this is when he was still with Sandy, his first
I was going to
wife.
say, was Sandy in the room too?
No, she was not. But you could, I don't know. I got a sense. I sensed it. Anyway, and so there's that story. And then fast forwarded to the year 2000 when I'm in Miami, and we've got an exclusive. Garth's doing 3 nights in a row that he sold out in Miami. And we've got an exclusive with him to hang out with him before the show backstage. My radio station did a big thing where they took all of us jocks in a limo, and we got to hang with Garth for a good half hour before the show. And I brought my Hans and Franz picture that I had taken about 10 years prior.
Did you?
Yeah. And, and I don't know if he remembered it or not, but he's like, yeah, man, I totally remember doing that. How are you, man? And just the nicest
Hey, really?
guy.
That's so neat.
Yeah, just the nicest guy. And P.S., he and I get our haircut at the same place. Great Clips in Goodlettsville, Tennessee. No joke.
No, he doesn't.
Yes, he
Well,
does.
he doesn't have much hair.
No,
though,
he
right?
gets. It's funny because my haircutter later, I was telling her, I don't know how it got brought up, but she said something about Garth comes here and gets his. I'm like, no, he doesn't. She goes, yeah, he does. Number 4 clipper, blah 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 blah, or whatever it was. And she goes, yeah, he just does a buzz cut basically. I'm like, you're kidding me. And like 2 or 3 times later, when I came in to get my haircut, I was sitting there waiting, and then I go back to get seated, and she goes, did you see him? And I go, who? What? Who? She goes, Garth. I said, what? She goes, he just walked right by you. I'm like, you're kidding. You're kidding.
Oh, no.
And he comes.
It could have been like your third meeting. And you say,
Exactly. You know, I feel like we're besties. I feel like there's going to be a day where he's going to go, hey, Kev, I need a kidney. Can you help a brother out? And I'm going to be like, yeah, Garth, I got you. And, but he goes into Great Clips and he doesn't put his name down and go Garth because everybody's head's going to snap around, you know. But his first name is Troyal Garth Brooks. And he goes by Troy.
You saw that on the ledger?
Well, he goes by Troy. And that's what she said. She goes, he comes in and puts his name in as Troy. I'm like, oh, that makes so much sense. So anyway.
Well, since you are so tight with them,
we live in the same city.
How about if we just double date, you know, since I'm your work wife, Trisha and Garth and you and I.
Exactly.
And, you know, Steve and Deborah can come along through one too.
Power couple to power couple, right? Okay.
Speaking of, I got friends in low places.
Exactly. Bobbi, okay, so you had a successful radio career that we all know that you started when you're an infant. So after 36 years of doing radio, you made the transition to voiceover. Was there a moment, though, when you got into voiceover after a while and you said, I'm going to be fine. I can do this. I'm going to be fine. Or what was it from the get-go that you thought you were going to be fine?
Well, given the fact that I had, you know, I mean, it was radio, so we did a lot of commercial work in production. So, and I had built up a lot of regular clientele already through the pay-to-plays. I call it, you know, taking a leap of faith, leaving radio. And I owe that to my husband, who at the time said, you know, he had a good job. He said, just do it. I know you want to do it. Just do it. And I thank him for that. And then he did it to me 2 years, for 2 years just recently. Paybacks are drag. But, you know, I always felt from that first year, I made or exceeded my salary from radio, you know, the first couple of years, and it's just gotten better and better. And I mean, we all have like, oh, why am I not booking fears? But overall, yeah, I've always had a confidence that I'm going to be okay. I think this is what I was meant to do.
That's awesome.
How about you?
Similar, I guess. I didn't, you know, when I left, the pay-to-play thing was in its infancy stages. I'm talking about 2005, I guess. And when I went full-time, and, you know, at that time, I was mailing out CDs and emailing demos, too, was starting to become in vogue. And, you know, I started getting, you know, some hits. You know, some people were like, hey, yeah, we like how you sound, and, you know, let's do this. And I started booking some stuff. And then I started, you know, getting, you know, some of that stuff that I've always preached about is, you know, the regular income, you know, the monthly stuff, the retainer stuff and that kind of stuff. So started getting some of that foundational income. And so, you know, it took a couple of years for me to get super comfortable thinking, oh, yeah, I'm going to be fine. You know, you know, I think there were a couple of times where I'm like, should I get back into radio? I miss being on the air. You know, that's one thing I do miss is doing a live show. That's always so much fun, and just, you know, it's a great rush doing live radio, but I wouldn't change a thing. So, yeah, maybe within a couple of years, I thought, oh, I'm going to be fine doing this.
Yeah. Do you have radio dreams still?
I do. I every couple of months I'll have one, and
Yeah.
it usually involves dead air. It usually involves
Yes.
not having a CD ready, or the next song ready to play, or something like that, or involves
You know,
being asked to do a job. Do I want to take a full-time position? And I did get asked.
really?
I got asked by my old boss. This is several years ago, so the position's not open, and then so the person's not in danger of being fired anymore because they are long gone by now. But I was asked about 4 or 5 years after I left, did I want to come back and do the morning show in Miami? And I'm like, no, I'm
Wow.
good. I'm good. So yeah. What about you in regards to dreams or nightmares?
I have radio dreams at least once a week.
Wow.
And it's usually about dead air, but it's deeper than dead air. It's like I'm trying to find something to, a cart. Oh my God, I'm showing my age. Or, something to play. It's not digital radio anymore. And like one of the salespeople will come in and say, hey, you have to air this spot. And they'll hand me like, for example, a banana. And I'll say like, I can't put a banana in a cart machine. How am I supposed to?
For the listeners that don't know what a cart machine is, picture an 8-track. And if you're younger than 30 years old, you're going to have to Google what an 8-track is. But these are tape-operated mechanisms that were packaged in this hard plastic case, and the magnetic tape is what held the audio, and they were called carts. So just a little backstory on what a cart is.
Go to my Facebook page, and you'll see a picture of me from long time ago when there were actually cart machines in the picture. You saw it, right, Kev?
Yeah, I did. That was cute. That was so funny. That's so funny. So let's, keep it with radio, because I just thought we'd just ramble some today. Have you had a moment in radio, either on air or associated with radio, that is your most embarrassing moment that you can think of? A time where like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this just happened.
Tell us more.
Well, just probably when Steve proposed to me as Santa Claus. Yeah.
I've seen that video.
I had no idea it was happening. I was in a bad mood that day. I was just kind of grumbling to everybody. And then he comes in. It was right before Christmas. We were supposed to go to, I think we were going to Thailand. So I knew that we wouldn't be in town. And so here he comes, open the door, and he comes in as Santa. And he starts singing to me the Ed Sheeran song, Perfect, or what's it called? That's terrible. I can't remember what song he proposed. But I mean, then the whole staff just came and filled up the studio and the windows watching. And I was like, I think I was most embarrassed because his voice really sucks.
But it was beautiful because of the intent.
I'm just kidding. I love him. Yeah.
That's awesome.
How about you?
Let's go back to Hot Springs, Arkansas, where I was on air as the Kev Man. That was my nickname on the air there, was Kev Man in the morning. And one day, I was there on a weekend doing a shift, and we had a Domino's pizza next door. And we were given strict instructions, if we ever go outside of this door, to always lock it. And this is on a weekend. We all had keys.
Oh, no.
And so I'd called the Domino's next door. I was going to get me some lunch. And I lock the door as I go out, go get my pizza, come back to go in while my song is ending. And I forgot my key. I forgot my key, Bobby. And this was...
And that was probably before cell phones, right?
The cell phones were just coming around. I didn't have a cell phone in my pocket. I had to borrow Domino's phone number. And thankfully, this is a time where you still had phone numbers memorized. And so I had to call. I called all the other DJs I could think of that I had their number in my head, and none of them picked up. And meanwhile, I've got dead air. The song is long over. And so I have to call my general manager. And he lives 20 minutes away from the radio station. He picked up. Of course he picked up. Of course he did. Mm-hmm. And so after about 30 minutes or so of dead air, he comes and opens the door for me and lets me in. And yeah, that was one
Were
of
you
the worst
fired?
times. No, I didn't get fired.
Oh, good.
At the Christmas party that year, as a gift, they gave me a trophy that was a golden doorknob.
I love it.
Which was
That fear was going through your body.
it was horrible. When I was in Miami, I was like, I was all confident. I had all the swag. This was Young Guy at Night working the hot country show at night. And I thought, Howard Stern was really popular at the time, and I thought I would be wacky and zany, and I had some concert tickets to give away. And so I stole a bit from Howard Stern to give away some concert tickets. And, looking back, it was immature. It was foolish. It was dumb. But I said, who's willing to do the craziest thing, And so this lady called in and she said, I'll do whatever. I said, okay. I said, I want to recreate what Howard Stern did. And Howard Stern,
Oh, no.
yeah, I know. Howard Stern did this thing where this lady came in bikini and he put mayonnaise on her butt and tossed bologna at it. And if it stuck, she won the concert tickets. I know. Even saying it out
Funny, I
loud.
hadn't heard that.
What?
That's pretty funny. I hadn't heard of that.
Oh, yeah. And so I decided to do the same thing on air on a country radio station, mind you.
Oh, Kevin.
I
Oh,
know.
Gator.
I know. I was in my 20s and I was dumb and I was trying to be wacky and zany and popular and shocking to get ratings and all this stuff. And I nearly shocked myself out of a job because I got called in by my PD the next morning, first thing. Oh, he was irate. And he's like, man, I am so close to firing you right now. I'm so close to firing you right now. I'm like, okay, man, I'm sorry. I learned my lesson, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so that was pretty stupid. Before we wrap up, Bobby, I got a couple more things for you. And this one, I shared a few of the questions with you before we started today. I didn't share these with you. I got two more questions for you. Have you ever broken the law and or been arrested? And if you don't want to talk about it, you don't have to.
I've never been arrested.
You've broken the law, though.
I don't know. I'm such a good girl. Catholic upbringing,
Really?
I'm trying to think, have I broken the law? I mean, speeding and stuff like that, but I don't think so.
Okay. All right.
How about you?
Yes. So one time I was arrested for drag racing.
You ain't first, you're last.
Me and my buddy, Brett Foreman, God rest his soul, were busted drag racing in Magnolia, Arkansas. And they hauled us to the clink. They took us in jail and made us stay there, not overnight, but for several hours that evening. My parents had to come get me. I was 18 years old, and it was like, come on, really? And another story that I'll share with Brett Foreman of kind of breaking the law. And this has nothing to do with voiceover, by the way. This is just kind of getting to know me and Bobby a little bit. And getting to know Kevin in his younger, wilder days. And I've learned so much. What's that?
It may not be Kevin Kilpatrick and Bobby Maxwell in the Middle West VO podcast by the time this is over.
Looking for a new co-host because Kevin's in the clink. But no, it was around the same time. And my good friend and I, Brett Foreman, we had gone around. And I got to think, I'm going to have some family members listening to this that don't know this story. But we were in college. You know how broke college kids are. And, college kids, like to have a drink now and then. And so me and my buddy, Brett Foreman, we would go around to the local motels in Magnolia, Arkansas in the evening at night and look for construction guys' pickup trucks. Invariably, there'd be an ice chest in the back. And invariably, there'd be a beer or two. And invariably, Brett and I would end up with a couple in our pockets. So we wanted to raise the stakes. And so he calls me one day. He goes, hey, man, I've been walking around my neighborhood. And he goes, there's a garage that's down the road. And he goes, and their garage door was open. And I see cases of Jack Daniels boxes I'm like, wow.
Oh, gosh.
And he's like, you want to go get us some Jack Daniels tonight? I'm like, yeah, man, sure. And so, mind you, we're like 18, 19 years old. And so about midnight, we go by, and sure enough, the garage door is still open. And there, with a beacon shining upon it, is this two cases of Jack Daniels. So these are not just a bottle. These are full boxes of Jack Daniels. And we go in there. We go to the garage. And we both grab a box. And we think we hear noise. And so we take off running. We are running with these big, heavy Jack Daniels boxes. And my friend Brett was a little more slight than I am. He was probably about 5'7" at the time, and probably like $150. And we're running, ironically enough, across a big church field. And my friend, he's like, yeah, man, this is so heavy. I don't know if I can carry it anymore. I'm like, come on, man, we got to get going. Nobody can see us. Let's run. And he's like, man, I can't carry it anymore as we're running. And he goes, I can't carry it. And then he falls, drops the Jack Daniels case, the box flies off, and boom, everything that's inside goes flying out. And in this box is not Jack Daniels bottles of whiskey. They are church hymnals. Church hymnals. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, I put down my box, I throw off the lid. Church hymnals in my box, too.
In a Jack Daniels box. That is hilarious.
And I certainly think that was a sign from God that,
Yes.
Gotcha. and until we were in the middle of this church field where it all happened. And it happened to be my church field, my church that I went to.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and we were just so embarrassed, and we laughed, and you know, you do dumb stuff when you're a kid like that, but we just, you know, we left them there, and
That's
the
so
church
funny.
collected them the next day, and I think they found the rightful owner. I can't remember if it was somebody from our church, but, you know, the hymnals were returned, and nobody at that time ever knew. Now somebody in Magnolia, Arkansas might hear this and go, ha, I remember that.
So much for what happens in Arkansas stays in Arkansas.
Exactly. My one final question for you, Bobby, before we wrap up on the Middle Class VO podcast. Do you do any celebrity impressions?
I do a really mean Wicked Witch from The Wizard of Oz.
Well, you know we got to hear it.
I'm going to have to back way off of the microphone. Hang on a second.
Sure.
Let's see if I can do it. Okay.
I'll get you, my pretty, and your little dog, too.
Wow, that is on point. Very nice.
I think I blew out the meters in my studio.
Poor Steve. Do you ever have to pull that out on him when he's not behaving?
Yeah, really. I did that to my cat and my dog when I first got my puppy. And I just went up to them one day and yelled that. And I looked at each one and was like, and your little dog, too. And they both took off running in each
Well,
direction.
no kidding. I felt like disconnecting the Source Connect from you.
Oh, Lord.
That's funny.
Yes.
Well, good job there. Good job there.
Feel better now.
I do one or two. One I do was he was just in the news recently because he said when he was boxing that he would use a fake part down below and his daughter's urine to pass drug tests. Talking about Mike Tyson.
Sure. Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So I
didn't know
guess
about that story.
whenever they're testing you and stuff like that, but he said he would bring in a fake apparatus and his daughter's urine, and that's how he would.
That's how I'd pass drug tests, Bobby. I would get the fake thing and I put it down my pants, and then I'd get my daughter's pee, and then I would give it to the drug testers and say, hey, here's my pee. No drugs here.
Very good.
Thank you.
Man of many talents.
Anyway, I don't think anybody
And
learned
that,
anything
folks,
today.
is Kevin and Bobbi.
Yeah. Some deep, dark, dirty secrets. But yeah, join us next time on the Middle Class VO podcast when we'll have some more substantial content for you.
We'll tell you all about our date with Garth and Trisha.
The Middle Class VO podcast is a K2 Media Productions production.
All views and opinions expressed are those of the hosts and guests. The McVob jingle was written and produced by Kevin.
Co-produced and performed by Chloe Dolandis.
Additional engineering by Zach Zimmett.
Bobby's hair and makeup by Rebecca Adlita.
Kevin's wardrobe by Slippery Pete's Fashion Emporium.
All previous episodes are available for download on Podbean.
For the Middle Class VO podcast, I'm Tracy Thibodeau.
I'm Lisa Lou Perry.
Thanks for listening.
And don't miss the next episode of The Middle Class VO Podcast. The Middle Class VO Podcast.